Today I'm going to be dictating your tests. Make sure that you access the speed building that is in Blackboard. And it's lit, so on your 100 lit number 1, proper names that come out, you have none. But I do see gods. Make sure you capitalize gods, G-O-D apostrophe S. And this is going to be your 100 test number 1, lit for 5 minutes. Do you ever think about what we can do to help the children of the world have a better future to look forward to? I am sure you think about that as much as all of us do. And I am sure you would like to do something to help all the children in the world, wouldn't you? Family is very important to me, and I am sure that it is important to you as well. All the talk these days about family values makes you think that we no longer have any, doesn't it? Well, that's not true. I was raised in the South, you know, and I am sure you can tell that about me by the way I talk, can't you? My accent gets even stronger if I am around home for a while and if I am in a good mood, as I often am when I'm home with my family. In the South, I was raised to love the land and to love the water and clean air and to believe that children are God's gift to us. I treat my children and all children with love and respect and protect them by all means. I was raised to respect the land and to make sure there was land left for my own grandchildren. I believe that an important part of teaching family values is to teach our children to respect the earth. I don't understand how a person can trash the planet that they live on, the planet that sustains us all. I don't understand how anyone can litter the land that we all live on and the streets we all walk on. In my family, we were taught to pick up after ourselves and to make sure we cleaned up after ourselves when we were outdoors as well as indoors. We were taught that no one else was going to come along and clean up our mess and that we had to take care of it ourselves. I don't understand how few people do that these days. I see people all the time walking down the street and dropping trash on the ground as though they expect someone will come along and sweep it up for them. That is not the way it works. We all have to pitch in and do our bit in order to have the clean air and the clean water and the clean food that we need. It is up to all of us to clean up this planet of ours and to make sure that our kids know how to do this also. We live as though the earth will be here for us forever. But The reality is that if we keep on treating the earth like we do, our planet will eventually die out. We are not taking care of the earth, and we are not respecting our planet. It is time that we all start to recycle if we don't already do so. Recycling, and then you have your second 100. Mark Hill and Jane, cap them both. I see October in there, capitalize it. I see, that's it. This is going to be 100 lit number 2 for 5 minutes. Okay, here we go. Five minutes, you all. The defendant, Mark Hill, was found guilty of first-degree murder following a jury trial. On this appeal, he seeks a new trial. In the alternative, he seeks a new sentencing hearing. As far as the jury trial is concerned, he argues that the trial court erred when it kept out certain evidence. He argues that this evidence would have shown his lack of intent for the crime. As far as the sentence is concerned, he says that the pre-sentence report contained some facts about his political beliefs. He says that the law protects these beliefs, but that the judge nevertheless considered them when he sentenced him. We have reviewed the record in this case, and we conclude that the claimed errors were harmless. We therefore deny the defendant's motions for a new trial and for a new sentencing hearing. The facts of this case are as follows. On October 6, Mark Hill entered the apartment of his estranged wife, Jane, despite the fact that a judge had signed a restraining order. The defendant's stepdaughter and one of his 2 sons testified at the trial. They testified that the defendant had a pistol when he entered the apartment. They testified that he struck Jane on the nose with the pistol and that he ordered her and the 3 children into a bedroom. He then ordered his stepdaughter to retrieve a bulletproof vest from his automobile, and he cautioned her not to talk to anyone in the process. According to the children, he was told that he was holding Jane by her hair with the gun to her head. He told the stepdaughter that he would shoot Jane if his directions were not obeyed. The defendant stayed in the apartment overnight. The next morning, he refused to allow the children to go to school, and he refused to allow Jane to go to work. He ordered his stepdaughter to go to the post office and mail some letters. He threatened to shoot Jane if the stepdaughter talked to anybody. When the stepdaughter returned, he stood at the door behind Jane, pointing the pistol at her head. One of the envelopes that the stepdaughter mailed was addressed to Mark Hill's brother. The envelope contained 2 letters that Mark Hill wrote a month before he took his family hostage. The letters, which described his relationship with Jane and the children, resembled a last will. He wrote that he may not survive, and he asked his brother to take care of the children after his death. After the stepdaughter returned from mailing the letters, one of Jane's co-workers telephoned to inquire why Jane had not come to work. While Jane was talking with her, the defendant was pointing the gun at her neck. According to the record, the co-worker called the police because she thought that Jane sounded strange on the phone. The co-worker asked the police to check on Jane's welfare. After a long standoff with the police, the defendant allowed the children to leave. And then we have your 80s. Let's get ready for your 80s. And so you have on your 80 lit number 1, proper names: Mother Nature, God, Old Mother Nature, Oriental, and Christmas. And this is going to be 80 lit number 1 for 5 minutes test. Man next door and I look upon one another with suspicion. He's a raker and a shoveler as I see it, a troubler of the natural ways of the earth, left over from the breed that conquered the wilderness. He thinks of me in simpler terms, lazy. See, every week during the fall, he's out raking little leaves into little piles. And every time it snows, he's out tormenting the white stuff with his shovel. Once, out of either eagerness or outrage, he even managed to shovel a heavy frost. Can't let old Mother Nature get ahead of you, says he. So I tell him he hasn't the sense God gave a stump. In a kind of careful way. Leaves have been falling down for thousands and thousands of years, I tell him. And the earth did pretty well before rakes and people, I tell him. Old Mother Nature put the leaves where she wanted them, and they made more earth. We need more earth, I tell him. We're running out of it, I tell him. And snow. Snow is not my enemy, I tell him. Snow is God's way of telling people to slow down and rest and stay in bed for a day. And besides, snow always solves itself, mixes with the leaves to form more earth, I tell him. His yard does look neat, I must admit, if neatness is important. And he didn't fall down getting to his car last snow time, and I, in fact, did. And he is a good neighbor, even if he is a raker and a shoveler. I'm open-minded about this thing. Still, my yard has an oriental carpet of red and yellow and green and brown, and his doesn't. And I spent the same time he spent shoveling snow, collecting it in bottles to mix with orange juice July next. And I taped the sound of it falling and then used the tape to wrap Christmas presents. Snow has lots of uses. I gave him a bottle of vintage winter snow for Christmas, wrapped in some of that tape. He gave me a rake. We're giving each other lessons in the proper use of these tools. I think he's got no religion, and I'm trying to convert him. He thinks I've got too much, and he's trying to get me to back off. But in the end, and then you have number 280, Sam, Mary, Murphy's Law, Great Zucchini, Hoopy. Okay, and this is going to be 80 lit, number 2 for 5 minutes. My grandfather, Sam, called me up last Tuesday to ask me if I'd take him to a football game. Grandfather likes small town high school football, and even better, the 8-man ball played by Crossroads teams. Grandfather is a fan of amateurs and small scale. Some people are concerned about how it is that good things happen to bad people. And there are those concerned about how bad things happen to good people. But my grandfather is interested in those times when miracles happen to ordinary people. Here again, he likes small scale. When a nothing team full of nothing kids from a nothing town rises up with nothing to lose against some upmarket suburban outfit with new uniforms and starts chucking hail Mary bombs from their own goal line, and their scrawny freshman tight end catches 3 in a row to win the game. Well, it does your heart good. Murphy's Law does not always hold says grandfather Sam. Every once in a while, the fundamental laws of the universe seem to be momentarily suspended. And not only does everything go right, nothing seems to be able to keep it from going right. It's not always something as dramatic as the long bomb or the slam dunk that wins ball games. Ever drop a glass in the sink when you're washing dishes and have it bounce 9 times and not even chip? Ever come out after work to find your lights have been on all day and your battery's dead, but you're parked on a hill and you let your old hoopy roll and it fires the first time you pop the clutch and off you roar with a high heart? Ever pull out that drawer in your desk that has a 10-year accumulation of junk in it? Pull it too far and too fast. And just as it's about to vomit its contents all over the room, you get a knee under it and stagger back, hopping on one foot, doing a balancing act like the great zucchini, and you don't lose it. A near miss at an intersection. The glass of knocked over milk that waltzes across the table but doesn't spill. The deposit that beat your rubber check to the bank because there was a holiday you forgot about. The lump in your breast that turned out to be benign. The heart attack that, okay, and so that concludes your tests, you all. Make sure you type one up or both, see how you're doing, and have a great weekend, okay? Good luck, you all. Keep up the amazing work.